Support WrestleTalk!
Brock Lesnar is back as a babyface. Bobby Lashley beat up Sundberg, and Becky Lynch returns to WWE. Yay! And then squashes Bianca Belair. Oh, not so yay. Give us a subscribe and enable notifications to always on for daily wrestling news and reviews to make me cry tears of happy punkness.
And it's him! It's actually him! It's actually him!
While I review WWE SummerSlam 2021 in about 10 minutes. The pre-show match saw Beige beat Baron Corbin to win back the briefcase that was stolen from him. I guess. Not that Corbin ever legally had it anyway. I like Corbin's range, he's got a good range, he's a good actor with the acting. To introduce the main card, we got a casino-themed video package because what happens in Vegas is usually very obviously themed around Vegas, which does feel weird with AEW having done casino video packages for 2 whole years now. Gambling to WWE confirmed. The main show opened on Riddle dressed as a snake, tagging with Randy Orton against AJ Styles, and oh, he's so tallmus. AJ worked most of the match, hitting a seamless backflip reverse DDT onto Riddle outside at one point, while Amos stood on the apron, being really tall. But even his height couldn't overcome every tall guy's kryptonite, hitting a ring post at almost walking speed. That was enough to take Omos out of action for about 5 minutes, where Orton hit an RKO for the win to give us new Raw Tag Team Champions. I can't wait for several months of rematches. Reportedly, the future of Alexa Bliss's gimmick is merch. Puppet merch. More specifically, and WWE officials would be closely watching how many Lily dolls were sold in the show's arena. Channeling my frustration with that, Eva Marie started wrestling with the doll during the actual match. You know when people say a wrestler's so good they could wrestle a broomstick? Bliss won. I'm sure this is what Bray Wyatt had in mind when he debuted the Fiend gimmick at SummerSlam 2 years ago. Afterwards, Doudrop walked out on Marie, ending their epic story of about 7 weeks. Damian Priest then won the United States title from Sheamus in a really good match. It looked like Priest genuinely injured his lower back early with a flip dive to the outside, which both men realistically worked into the story. The finish came when Priest powered out of the figure 4 to rip Sheamus's protective mask off and punch him in the face for a very cool ending. WWE 2K22. It hits different. 2 different, in fact. It was announced it will come out next March instead of the usual October release. This is what happens when you keep releasing all the roster members. The Usos then retained against the Mysterios in a decent match, built around Ray getting the hot tag, whilst both father and son were dressed like beloved 90s UK children's monster Mr. Blobby. Ray kicked out of a single super kick and splash to fall to the stereo version. It was a relatively normal, okay show until then, with 2 welcome title changes. But then, as usually happens with WWE pay-per-views, things got super weird, and not in a fun Mr. Blobby kind of way. That's terrifying. Firstly, Boogs did a guitar entrance for Shinsuke Nakamura for no reason. No angle, no match, just an entrance. Then came the advertised all week but reportedly very much in doubt behind the scenes WrestleMania rematch of Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. Banks had been missing live events since the previous weekend, yet WWE continued to promote her being at SummerSlam up until the show itself. But admittedly, they did make up for it. Briefly, but before they ruined it. After Belair had made her entrance, Greg Hamilton announced that Banks wouldn't be able to compete, so let's welcome her replacement, Carmella. It sucked the life out of the crowd, who really wanted to see Banks versus Belair too. But to WWE's credit, this was actually a marvellous redirect, as it just set up the swerve of Becky Lynch returning to the company after longer than a year out to become the mum. Becky coolly beat up Carmella and asked Bianca if she didn't mind wrestling her instead. Belair accepted. We suddenly got an impromptu Becky versus Belair match, which Lynch won in 2 moves, becoming the new SmackDown Women's Champion off a rock bottom. It's not that Bianca lost. My predictions had her dropping the belt to Banks anyway. It's the way she lost. This was a total squash of Belair, and an angle likely to backfire hard on Becky as a babyface. Before Lynch left last year, there was already a contingent of fans who were tiring of her being pushed over everyone else in the division. Becky wins, LOL. Having her return and immediately go over Bianca like that could totally derail Becky's babyface return momentum. 3 SummerSlams ago, WWE turned Becky heel when everyone wanted to cheer her. Now her face push might get greeted only by boos. You could see many fans in the crowd shaking their heads. And WWE followed that up with a video package about their return to Saudi Arabia. And then a random segment where Olympic medalists Gable Stevenson and Tamira Mensah-Stock just walked down to the ring and clapped. After a year of Drew McIntyre saying in interviews he really wanted to put on a good pay-per-view caliber match against his real-life best friend Jinder Mahal to show people what they can do together, he beat him in an enhancement match, hitting the Claymore in minutes to win. Thankfully, the Raw Women's title three-way was far better than the storyline building up to it, with the champion, almost a superhero, Nikki, almost a superhero, actually doing moves, like she actually got offense in. It was the best she'd looked since winning the title, but that's not a high bar, and it was mixed by genuine intrigue over whether WWE would punish Charlotte for her immediate family to AEW confirmed. I can still do that joke, it wasn't just a CM Punk thing, like the yes chance could be used for Big Show as well. After a really close sequence of near falls and submission spots and an insane corkscrew moonsault from Flair to the outside directly into Nikki's face, Charlotte made almost a champion Nikki tap in the figure eight. This went straight into the match of the night, Seth Rollins versus Edge, with the latter doing his awesome Rising from Hell Brood entrance. They had a terrific detail-orientated match with Seth working over Edge's head and both men hitting their significant others' finishers, Edge hitting his wife Beth Phoenix's Grand Slam at one point, and Seth hitting Triple H's pedigree. After a great back and forth final sequence, Edge battered Seth's head into the mat and tapped him out in the choke, which was also the result that saw me lose to Adam Blompier in Wrestle League predictions, meaning I will be doing yet another music video punishment for Survivor Series. WWE had reportedly told Vegas that they would have the show done by 11 p.m. Eastern, which came at this point in the show with 2 matches still left on the card. So what did they do? They had Miz and Morrison come out to cut a promo to be interrupted by Xavier Woods wearing a Super Soaker backpack to promote Pure Life Water, to complete silence from the crowd. Another stellar brand integration there from WWE. You can see Pure Life Water at your local cinema. The commentators announced a sellout crowd of 51,326. The actual number was 45,000, but every single one of them was about to witness something special. The debut of Gorg. 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 In true Goldberg style, the Raw Championship match was 70% entrance, with his Tron brilliantly blocking the middle of his name, making it read Gorg. He had a standard big move match with Bobby Lashley trying to sell Lashley's spears by forward rolling his head into the center of the earth, and having his leg worked over so much the referee called off the match. Bobby won via stoppage in the second lamest finish on the card. First one still goes to Becky versus Belair. You're the man, Becky! As botch-filled and frustrating as this match was though, the post-match angle was actually really intriguing, as Lashley continued to beat down Gorg's legs, so Sundberg made the save. Sorg? Lashley made Sundberg pass out in the Hurt Lock, which MVP sold awesomely. Well, he kind of had to, Sundberg sure wasn't going to. He was up like 10 seconds later. MVP said there's no way Bobby could have known it was the son of Gorg, and they hastily exited, likely building up a huge rematch for Goldberg to win in Saudi Arabia. And the main event saw John Cena versus Roman Reigns in a very good big match that lacked emotional resonance. They played the template AJ and Cena established at the 2016 Royal Rumble, with dramatic kickouts from all kinds of finisher and signature moves. They riffed on each other's usual spots, with Roman pulling Cena's 5-knuckle shuffle down into the guillotine, and Cena countering a Superman punch, putting him through the announcer's table. But with all the big match pomp, it felt like an impression of gravitas as opposed to actually having any. We were trying to figure out why this was during the live reactions, and we all agreed for the match to be truly great, Cena's character had to treat it seriously. This was his chance to surpass Ric Flair's title reign record, but instead he played the opening for laughs and repeatedly lent into his goofy mannerisms. And while it's good for the viewers at home, Roman's methodical style while trash talking into the camera doesn't appear to amplify for the tens of thousands of people there live. It didn't really matter by the final sequence though, as the Pavlovian response to this match has gone over 20 minutes and finisher near falls kicked in, and the crowd started to go crazy. Reigns won with a spear. But then came the night's final boss, Brock Lesnar's top knot. Lesnar made his way down to the ring seemingly fresh off his farm to stare down Roman where he was presenting himself like a white meat babyface, smiling and posing for the crowd. It was weird. Paul Heyman sold it all fantastically though, caught between his current bae and his ex, setting up another big feud for the months to come. and Saudi Arabia. What did you think of SummerSlam? Let me know in the comments. 74% of you voted for "Oh no, Bianca Belair" in our poll on a poll match on the community tab. Becky and Brock's returns for SmackDown, all but Bobby's titles changing hands for Raw. This was a landscape shift for WWE heading into Survivor Series season, and several of the matches were very good. But overall, the show dragged with utterly pointless filler segments, and Lynch squashing Belair was incredibly frustrating. SummerSlam 2021 is 2 out of 5. So sometimes you have to make your own fun, like Luke teasing cashing in his Jam in the Jar briefcase on our live reactions last night.
It's the first pay-per-view since he's won it.
I know, do I cash it in
quick
that
jam.
soon?
The very first opportunity.
You've got to do it soon.
Are you?
Main event's coming up right now.
Are you opening the case?
What's in the case?
What's in it?
I'm gonna be a dad! Say happy for you, Luke. Thanks, guys. He's gonna be a dad! Oh, thanks, so smelly. Oh, it's really so smelly.
I'm so glad we can talk about it, finally.
Oh, be a dad, you guys.
Who's the father?
He's gonna be a dad! Yeah!
It's been in the briefcase all night.
We've been waiting so long!
Also, to clarify, I'm not jamming it in.
He's not
Subscribe to the WrestleTalk podcast channel for mine and Luke's full live podcast review later. And meanwhile, watch Laurie versus Sully in the latest round of fantasy booking warfare.
This week, it's Sullivan Bo Brown, Hot Dog, versus El Fakador, Laurie Blake. And they're booking John Cena's heel turn.